President Trump celebrating success this Thanksgiving, but critics have been quick to slam his so-called victory lap. The president took to Twitter to list economic victories and spoke with members of the armed forces, thanking them for their service and commending them on their progress since he's taken office.
The country's doing really well. Stock market, all-time high. It's all good stuff. I just spoke to a lot of your friends in Afghanistan, in Iraq. We spoke to the USS Monterey, great ship, great missile ship. We spoke to a lot of different folks from the Air Force, the Army. Just now, a little while ago at Mar-a-Lago, the telecommunication systems, what you can do now, we go live to Iraq, live to Afghanistan, and it was really incredible. But I told them our country is doing great.
Joining us now, attorney and Democratic commentator Monique Presley and Rasmussen Reports political analyst Amy Holmes. Ladies, thanks for being here. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Amy, first to you. A two-part question. Fair that the country is moving in the right direction, and fair for the president to take credit for it?
Well, we see that unemployment is going down, the stock market is going up, and at Rasmussen Reports, we see that optimism when it comes to job creation is up, business optimism is up. So I'm not quite sure what his critics want. You certainly don't want the President of the United States talking down the economy. That wouldn't be a good thing. And you also want the President of the United States to be reaching out to our troops at Thanksgiving to tell them job well done.
All right, so Monique, let's put up the facts and then we'll get your opinion. This is the stock market since the president was elected. To say it was a massive bear market would be an understatement. Unemployment in October at a near record low, the lowest it's been since 2000 at 4.1%. How isn't this good news?
Those two things are excellent news. The question is whether the president can and should take credit for those good things. We know where unemployment numbers are concerned that they were dropping and going down long before November of last year. And while we're thankful for the stock market, there are so many other things that Americans who are not invested in the stock market, who are invested instead in trying to get health insurance for their children and trying to make sure that they have food on the table, are concerned about. And this president, instead of really assuring Americans, assured them by offering thanks to himself at a time where normally mature human beings choose to thank God, thank their neighbor, thank the military for being away from family members. He did. He took a victory lap. What his critics expect is maturity.
Okay, so, and I'm trying to understand this, and I'll get Amy's thought on this. So your complaint is not what the policies are or how it has come to pass in the situation, but, Amy, it sounds like Monique is upset in terms of that he took credit for it rather than thanking God for it.
Right, putting style over substance, and I think that's a problem. Listen, when he called the military, you had critics saying, how dare he list his achievements, etc. You know, the military is not interested in a literary critique of conference calls from the President of the United States. They're interested in concrete goals. And in fact, the Army commander in Afghanistan has said, we now are doing a conditions-based rather than time-based approach, which is turning Afghanistan around. He said, since Donald Trump has become commander-in-chief, they're reversing the decline that they saw under the previous commander-in-chief in Afghanistan. That's what our troops want. That's what they need. And they also need for all of us, of course, to thank them and be grateful for their service and their sacrifice. I'm just not really sure, you know, it seems like critics, they just want to take a shot at the president any chance they get.
Listen, the president gives us plenty of opportunities to take a shot at him. You don't have to invent them.
You don't have to
He creates them around 6:25 every morning, and it certainly isn't style over substance. If you look at this president's leadership and the GOP-led Congress, there's no real substance to talk about in terms of a lack of any substantive legislation passed since they controlled the House and the Senate and the White House all at the same time. And when you're hoping for a president who doesn't put down prior military actions before November and say now we're winning, that's not unreasonable.
Hold on, Monique. It was President Obama who roundly criticized decisions by President George W. Bush and talked about how he was going to get America out of wars and how that the past administration did things wrong. That it has been time honored for any administration to criticize the past actions of those who have come before. That's why they ran and conceivably were elected. That's why a Republican was elected.
Right, and Leland, do you remember when
living...
President Obama kept repeating over and over about George Bush drove us into the ditch, we're still in the ditch, we're trying to get out of the ditch. We heard this for 8 years. And Monique, I am giving you a substantive policy point when it comes to prosecuting the war.
So Monique, why was it okay for President Obama to use President Bush as a punching bag, and it's not okay for President Trump to criticize President Obama and note the things that he's changed?
And the criticism of a prior president, though obviously President Trump is stuck in some sort of obsessive Obama critique about everything. I mean, he couldn't even skip it on Turkey Day, pardoning the turkeys.
I thought that was kind of funny, actually.
That doesn't, and I'm sure, you know, if every joke that he has is a joke at the expense of the prior president, then maybe that's just all he has by way of humor
Monique,
by way of rating himself. What I am saying is different, in answer to your question, is that he was criticizing our military. He was criticizing their actions. He wasn't just criticizing a prior administration. We can listen to the clip.
I was there. I watched both tapes. I watched him talking on Skype. I watched him with the Coast Guard. I didn't hear any criticism of our military, certainly criticism of the commanders.
Before, we're not losing now.
I heard him.
We weren't taking the right steps before.
That was criticism of the leadership decision, the policy and leadership decisions, not criticism of the military. So, Monique, Amy, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
All the best, ladies.